I've debated hundreds of people about the shape of the Earth, evolution, the Big Bang, young Earth creationism, and more. And now, you can too. Rational Answers to Stupid Questions is my book that covers all these topics and more. Or if you simply like learning about science, I did tons of research and there's lots of great content. The book is available on BookBaby, who did all the design, printing, and editing of my book. If you ever want to write and publish your own book, they have an incredible staff that can make that dream come true. Check out the link in the description. Enjoy the video.
If mutations are non-random, then that goes against a theory of evolution. It goes against Darwin. And there's been, because what is natural selection? Selecting. There's been, if mutations are non-random, there's been 3 separate studies, independent studies, that say mutations are non-random. Here's what one of the authors of the study said. He said, "I was totally surprised by the non-random mutations we discovered." Lead author Greg Monroe said, "Ever since high school biology, I have been told that mutations are random." Is he lying? And then here's another one from Jerusalem Pope.
Maybe he's incompetent.
Whether or not mutations are random is not a problem for evolution by selection processes.
Everyone's incompetent but the TikTok atheist.
I'm not incompetent, no. See, there, you get it.
First right thing ever said by Angel Investor.
Here's another one. Are genetic mutations random in humans? Israel study says no. A study by the University of Haifa, researchers claim not all genetic
Okay, so what's the point? I mean, this isn't a problem for evolution.
Well, if they non-random...
Yeah, evolution and natural selection would still occur.
What is natural selection selecting?
It's still selecting for traits.
No, it's not selecting for traits. Traits are reaching the environment in a way that's non-random. That's the whole point of Darwin.
Look.
What are you talking about?
The mutations may not be random, but they are certainly not all beneficial. Some of them,
evolution.
Whether or not the mutations are random or not, they are either beneficial or they're not, and the environment will select for those mutations that are beneficial. Whether or not they're random, it doesn't matter.
You guys are in la la land. Here goes another one.
I don't think particles exist.
That's fine. I can explain the folly of your logic pretty quickly. You know Alexander the Great?
Can I please finish?
No, I'm gonna prove the point for you because you don't know how to think. So you know Alexander the Great, right?
Can't debate anybody.
Yeah, here we go. I've run out of patience. I've talked to too many stupid people today. Sorry, it's your guys' fault. They were on. Every one of them was on your team. So. Okay. Here we go. Alexander the Great. Apparently a really brilliant war general, right? Every single action taken by Alexander the Great and the opposing forces was deliberate, calculated, strategic. Yet, Alexander the Great won more often, right? So we have non-random actions and a non-random selection process still occurs to determine outcomes.
My goodness, man. Are you really this slow?
Speechless.
Listen what he said. Listen what he said. This is when I first observed that genetic mutations take place in such a way that their information entropy decreases all the time, even when the nucleotides remain constant. This is huge because it challenges Darwin's evolution theory by stating that genetic mutations are non-random process. Do you know what information entropy is?
I do. Can you define it?
Yeah, I'm asking
What's the formula? What's the formula? What's the formula for information entropy?
I'm asking you, do you know what information entropy is?
Yeah, Shannon defined it in the 1920s.
How did he define it?
It's the sum of the log of the probabilities.
I'm not asking you what Shannon did. I'm asking you how.
It's the sum of the log of the probabilities. Or alternatively, you can define it in a statistical way where it's just where it's just proportional to the log of the number of microstates corresponding to a macrostate.
And exactly, if information entropy
exactly,
turn in a way that's decreasing with these mutations that's decreasing information entropy, then that's intelligent design. That's not anything natural. That goes against Darwin. Darwin himself said this. Darwin said...
Darwin didn't know anything about mutations.
This is what Darwin
said.
didn't
say anything about mutations.
Darwin said, but just in proportion as this process of extermination has acted on an enormous scale, so must the number of intermittent varieties which have formerly existed be truly enormous. Why then is this not in every geological formation and every stratum full of these intermediate links? This is the most obvious and serious objection which can be observed against my theory. What Darwin is saying is
that has nothing to do with how do mutations come about. That was simply an acknowledgement of the current fossil record. As it stood in the 1850s, we now have huge troves of transitional forms.
Selection if traits don't reach the environment in a random way.
It selects the traits. What the fuck are you talking about?
Darwin's whole...
Did Alexander and his enemies have random battles? Did Alexander and his enemies have random battles? No. Was there still a selection that came out about that? Despite deliberate actions being taken place, there's still a selection process.
In a way that's decreasing information entropy, that's searching for the correct mutation before it even reaches the environment. That goes against Darwin because natural selection isn't selecting anything.
How does information entropy have anything to do with what's the quote-unquote correct mutation?
Hold on. Darwin saw artificial selection and came up with natural selection. He thought that there would be these intermediate varieties of traits reaching the environment, and then natural selection was select against these traits. For instance, look at the pepper. Hold up. For instance, look at the pepper moth. When the pepper moth, when they had to evolve and adapt to the environment, and it needed a darker color to survive, it did so through an insertion deletion. The exact adaptation it needed to get a darker color was inserted into the... Hold up.
Then how come the population gradually changes over time instead of in one generation the complete flipping of the phenotypes? Nope, you're going to answer the question or I'm going to kick you out because I don't care. If that's true, then why didn't... If that's how it works, then how come the peppered moths instantly in the first generation did not completely change and all become black?
They gotta be black, though.
Because the selection process had not occurred yet.
There was not any other...
I'm not going to answer your question. You're going to answer my question. If what you said is correct, then what should have happened was the moths should have immediately become all black because there's an intelligent process guiding it. But that's not what happened.
But Peterson...
Yeah, because natural selection has to run its course. Yes.
The environment was the black trait, you idiot. The only trait that reached the environment.
No! The fuck are you talking about? There were always white moths in the environment. In fact, they exist today.
The only trait that reached the environment.
That's both redundant and repetitive of you. Congratulations.
The only trait that reached the environment.
Yeah, but it's not going to work because I don't have feelings that you can hurt.
The only trait that reached the environment, you're really a stupid idiot. The only trait
At least he knows that particles are real.
The only trait that reached the environment was the black trait, the wonder trait that was needed. It was nothing.
False. The white moths always existed in that environment. They became less common, and today they still exist. False. What you just said is 100% false. The only trait that reached the environment is the black trait. No, if that's how it worked, then all the moths would give birth, and in this one generation, the white moths would cease to exist. That never happened. Even a stupid idiot understands that, yet you don't understand that. So what does that make you?
What other trait reached the environment? Show me evidence of another trait reaching the environment. Except for
the trait that causes them to be white.
Darker. Show me any other trait reaching the environment. The one
that allows them to be white.
Their environment, you idiot. That's not natural selection. That's intelligent design.
What are you doing?
That's intelligent design.
What are you doing?
To a sentient pine cone.
Darwin.
Everybody is running out of dialogue options today. Angel, the white moths exist, so the trait that allows them to be white also reach the environment. No, it doesn't.
The only trait that reaches the environment is the trait needed for the species to adapt. That's mean that the adaptation is occurring inside the DNA, inside the genome. It's not anything. Natural selection isn't selecting anything, you idiot. Don't you understand that? You can't provide any evidence of any other trait except for the one needed reaching the environment. That's because information entropy decreased in the genome and the mutations occurred in a way that found the correct trait to reach the environment. Darwin said the exact opposite. He said there should be a natural selection of these intermediate varieties.
Information entropy didn't exist in the time of Darwin. He couldn't have said anything about it.
You can't show any evidence of any other trait reaching the environment except for the exact one. The same with sickle cell. The exact point mutation needed reached the environment.
Angel,
absolutely dense.
The white moths still exist.
Understood this stuff. You sound absolutely dense.
I do, which is how I'm able to point out how what you're saying is completely wrong. The white moths still exist, right?
Oh my goodness. Do you understand that what Darwin was saying was that you should have all these intermediate variety of traits, all these different color moths, all these different traits reaching the environment.
And we do. No, you shouldn't have purple and green and yellow moths. That's not implicit in the theory.
The pepper moth needing an adaptation to a darker color, information entropy decreased, and it evolved the exact.
Did you just learn the phrase information entropy today?
The exact code was inserted into the exact part of the genome needed to provide the exact adaptation. This goes against Darwin. This goes against.
That doesn't have to necessarily occur because most things go extinct.
This is the same with the pepper moth.
Okay. Do organisms go extinct, yes or no? Do organisms go extinct? Yes or no? Oh, why is it still muted?
Do you know how we create information? Of course you're not.
I'm not going to answer any of your questions. You're going to answer mine. Do organisms go extinct? Okay, so you're incapable of engaging, and that's fine. I don't need you to engage because I can prove you wrong. I can prove you wrong without you. I'm going to just keep muting you, so don't bother. So
created in a computer.
Oh, my bad. Okay, goodbye. So, do organisms go extinct? Yes. So why doesn't intelligent design intervene in these organisms if they already have everything that they need to be able to survive in all possible environments? Because that's not how it actually works. The vast majority of organisms actually go extinct in the long run.
Position,
okay?
Roughly what he was saying is, why don't we see in like the fossil record, why don't we see a bunch of creatures with like one-off mutations? Like, why don't we see dead purple moths? And the reason why we don't is because these kinds of traits that are non-selective, that are anti-selective, I guess, they die off long before they actually become significant, right? Because these traits, these changes in phenotype are slow. They're very, very rarely are they single nucleotide flips. So you'll see a gradual graying and then blackening of the moths, right? You'll see a gradual change in color, gradual change in size, things like that. And so the moment you start having these phenotypes that are very, very detrimental, like being purple, I guess would be detrimental, those ones will die out long before they would have like a noticeable like purple hue or whatever.
Yeah. The argument I think he was also making, which evolution deniers argue, is when the population changes, well, like with the peppered moths or whatever, the argument typically goes, wait. So the black moths became more common, but there were already black moths. It's already in the genome. Evolution isn't producing anything new. It has no creative powers or ability or whatever. We know experimentally of completely brand new traits coming about. Bacteria being able to digest nylon, for example, is one example. I bring this study up many. I have brought it up many times, but they got rid of the gene for metabolizing lactose in bacteria, and they re-evolved the ability to do it. So brand new traits can spontaneously arise. Evolution and even mutations and natural selection coupled together does have the ability to produce new traits. So that's all I